witchy woman. She got the moon in her eye.
Hey guys, it's Kylie and Zori back with the podcast. Today we thought we might touch up on the butterfly effect and the multiverse. Some trippy things to think about.
I wanted to start, I'm gonna kind of define these things and
in case you don't know what it is.
Yeah, and then we can branch off of it. Also just an actual definition, so I'm not it's basically when, the butterfly effect. It stems from chaos theory, which I don't really fully understand what that is, but I'm reading off of Wikipedia, which is a total reputable source, so, but it's good enough. Chaos theory is basically an area of scientific study that branches off of thermodynamics, not thermodynamics, dynamical systems, deterministic laws, and initial conditions. I don't know what the fuck that means. Basically,
it sounds chaotic.
Chaos theory states that within the apparent randomness of chaotic complex systems, there are underlying patterns of interconnection, constant feedback loops, repetition, self-similarity, fractals, and self-organization. That makes sense to me. So the butterfly effect is an underlying principle of chaos, and it describes how a small change in one state of a deterministic nonlinear system can result in large differences in a later state, basically meaning that there's sensitive dependence on initial conditions. A metaphor for this is that a butterfly flapping its wings in Texas can cause a tornado in Brazil.
Right.
That's just a metaphor for it. And then, the butterfly effect, is that.
It's so crazy.
It's so strange to think about. I always hear that thing of a butterfly flaps its wings and it could cause or whatever, but more in real life, I think it's weird because you can get real spiral with this butterfly effect shit. So if you get super existential, don't think about it too hard. It's not that deep, but it is interesting to think about all the decisions that you make in life. What if you made the other?
Yeah.
And how did that small decision lead you to something else?
Already
For
spiraling.
example, no, honestly, already spiraling, but I think one of the best examples of the butterfly effect is literally us going to Moe's that day, and now you have a boyfriend of how long?
Yes, that's true.
Literally because we went to Moe's. Had
I know. But there was more that went into that.
But also
very weird.
What if I was busy that day?
Well, it wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Well, it was, and then I woke up really late, and I was I work in an hour, but it was 2:30, and I was I work at 4 or 4:30.
That shit all the time.
But I was I'm still down. And then you drove that day, you met me.
I did.
And then we took my car to the graveyard to eat. Then we came back. It could have been do you want to both drive to the graveyard and then I can go to work from there?
Yeah.
It was very weird stuff. And he said that his whole crew went back to the shop to get something, and then they were why don't we just call it a day instead? And then he was no, let's go back and finish. So when he came back, that's when we came back. All very weird shit.
And then I just remember you being that guy's really cute. And I was oh, and then I came back from school and I was what's up with you? And you're you remember that guy from Moe's? He's my boyfriend. I was wait, what?
So weird.
That was fucking crazy. That's a good example of just what if, and the whole point of the butterfly effect isn't what if. The point is it does. The littlest thing can affect something else. So, for example, I've heard stories from Reddit where it's oh, I'm a nurse and I catch this specific train every single day to get to work, and then I never call in, and then one day I call in, I hear that train crashed, or some shit like that.
Weird. Oh
the
God.
one
That's
day
where
I
it's
had a feeling
life
I just that's
right. That's
so strange. The littlest, smallest decisions, and even the smallest things that you don't even think about. We don't really. I don't feel at least I don't. I mean, every once in a while I think about it, but I don't think about how often I make decisions. You make multiple decisions every single day.
Yes.
Even
the thousands.
The smallest thing you can think of, you decided to do it. You had power to do it. and you did. So, like, what if you didn't? Or what if you chose to do something else instead? You know what I mean? Like, there's the butterfly effect is we could be living in a whole different universe if just one president won the election instead of the other.
Right.
Or we could be living in a whole different universe if, I don't know, one caveman never, like, discovered fire.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. It's,
so
like, the
weird.
littlest things, and it's so weird, but it melts into multiverse.
Or, like, the thing with, like, maybe, like, car accidents. Like, I literally, the other day, witnessed a car accident, like, right in front, like, the two cars in front of me. Like, one was coming this way, one was coming that way. And it's like, oh, like, maybe if I didn't, like, stop at one light prior.
That could have been me.
Or if I left the house, like, 2 minutes earlier or, like, later or, like, whatever. That stuff is so weird to me.
Dude, before, I need to talk about this game.
Okay.
Because there's a game. Well, actually, there's two games. And I told you about one of them forever ago. I don't know if you remember. But there's two games. I love, like, kind of choosing your story games.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're interesting because every decision you make does matter a lot in
Yeah.
the storyline. So there's one that's really popular. Actually, both of them are really popular. But one is it's been around really long. And it's called Life is Strange.
Okay.
And essentially, it is, like, they don't really highlight the butterfly effect, but they tell you, like, every decision you make is important. Like, this doesn't give anything away at all, but you should totally play it if you can. Like, in the very beginning of the game, you are, like, this girl, you're in your photo class, you go to the bathroom, then somebody comes in the bathroom, you hide behind a stall because you don't really want to be seen or whatever, for whatever reason. And this girl and this guy walk in, and it's the girl's bathroom, so that's automatically, like, weird. And they're arguing. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden a gunshot goes off, and the girl who walked in, like, is dead. And then all of a sudden...
The girl that was with the boy or the girl hiding in the stall?
No, the girl that was with the boy. Okay. And the girl hiding behind the stall hears it, and then the guy freaks out, pulls the, like... Fire alarm, I think? Yeah, I think he pulls it, or the girl hiding pulls it. I forget who pulls it. But basically that happens, and it's like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, she just kind of, like, wakes up, and she's in her photography class again.
Okay.
And she's like, I gotta save that girl in the bathroom, like, somehow. Yeah. She thinks about all the things she's did. She's like, oh, like, I tore my picture, like, whatever, and then they walked in. So she basically finds a way to, like, I think, pull the fire alarm. Maybe it never went off. Maybe she pulls the fire alarm the second time to save the girl. I think that's what happens. And it's like all these little decisions matter. Like right after she pulls the alarm, she runs out after they both run out. And so she saves her. And then she runs out and somebody, like, she goes to this weird private school. So one of the teachers is like, you need to get out. Like, what are you still doing in here? Like, and she's like, I was in the bathroom. And she was like, yeah, that's what the guy was like, oh, that's what they all say. And then you see the principal, and you have an option to either tell the principal what you saw or not. And it's like a very good introduction to the game because the whole game is making decisions. And as a person, you're like, well, I'm going to tell the principal what I saw, right?
Yeah.
But so I'm assuming the game knows that people are going to do that.
Yeah.
So you go and tell him, and he's like, oh, well, that the kid that was in there who had the gun is a rich kid in the area whose, like, parents donate a lot to the school. And you find that out through this interaction. And basically the principal's like, that's a very serious allegation. Like, are you sure? Like, all this other stuff. Also, like, why were you in there? And he just kind of seems like he's, like, sus of you.
Right.
And then the game gives you the option, like, you can go back in time and switch it. So the whole thing is this girl has the power to, like, go back and, like, change different decisions. Cool. But, like, it does kind of show you how each little thing, like, will change the story. Like, if you decide not to go back and stay with it, then whatever. So it changes the story. And it's just so weird to play those games because it's, like, kind of, like, a weird way to, like, lean into it because you don't have to worry about actual consequences. It's just, like, game consequences. Right. There's the other game that I told you about forever ago. Wait, was that
a board game or, like, an iPhone game? Or, like,
no, it's like, you can get it on, like, a console, but I have it on my laptop.
Okay.
I got it on my laptop, but most people play it on, like, either, like, PC. Like, you can get it on there or something, or something like that. But I think you can even get it on, like, PS4 or 5 or whatever they have now. But the other one is one that I told you about forever, and this one's fun because it's a horror game, and there's actors in it, and the actors look like themselves. So you know Hayden Panettiere?
No. Do I?
She's in Ice Princess. Do you know?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
blonde girl. Yeah.
She was
just in something I recently watched when she was older.
Scream?
Yes. Okay, yes.
Because I remember seeing her and being like, oh.
Yes, yeah.
But, so she's in that, and she looks like herself. Like, the graphics are incredible. Also, one of the girls from Camp Rock is in it. It's
which one? Is it the girl with the black hair? Oh, Tess. Okay.
Yeah. So she's in it, and then Rami Malek is in it. Like, it's really good. So basically, all these people, they go to the ski lodge. The game starts out, and, like, this guy's 2 sisters, like, die at the ski lodge. And one of them... everybody was making fun of her, and then the other one so it was just a really awkward situation. And on the 1-year anniversary of their death, he invites them all to come back.
Okay,
weird as fuck.
What?
But he's like, you know what? Like, this is what they would have wanted, like, whatever. So they all go, and basically some fuck shit happens. Like, it's a horror game. Like, it's scary. Like, there's jump scares and shit. But they emphasize the butterfly effect and how much it matters. Okay. They basically tell you, like, every decision you make. And I think that one is way more intense than Life is Strange, because from what I've heard, that game has, like, over 100 endings. Like, over 100 endings. Like, you could play it endlessly and get a different ending every fucking time. And it's like a long fucking movie, basically, because it's, like, maybe probably full 10 hours to play it, all the way through 8 to 10 hours or something like that. And there's so many... Just
for one scenario? Like, one outcome?
Yeah, just one outcome. To play the game all the way through. I still want to play it again. Eventually, in my life, I only played it once and got, like, this one outcome. I forget what I got, but it's just so interesting because there's so many different decisions you can make. And if you make the wrong one, somebody could end up dead. Like, that game is so fun. It's so fun. But it's crazy, and it does make you think about the butterfly effect and how, like... I don't know, fucking nuts it is.
That one's also on laptop or whatever?
Yeah, I never got it on my laptop. I think you can play it on laptop, but I think you have to have, like, Steam or something. Like, you know those, like, gaming, whatever, like, PC gaming, like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
It's been so long
you can't, like, just, like, download it.
Okay.
You have to, like, get Steam or something.
Oh, like a software
Yeah, it's called Until Dawn.
Okay.
You can, like, look it up.
They probably, like, have them for your phone now. On,
they
like,
don't
the
have
those
Oh, they
ones,
don't? No, because there's so much graphics in it that, like, it's either got to be on, like a good laptop or computer, or it's, like, on a console. So if you know anybody that has a console. I played it on PS4. When I worked at Family Video, I rented it, and I played it.
Oh, that's fun.
how I got it. Because I was like, oh, this looks cool. And then I was like, is that Hayden Panettiere? And then I, like, was obsessed with the game. Like, that's like, one of my favorite games
ever. That's awesome.
It's so good. It's so fucking cool. But, so that, I mean, it talks about the butterfly effect, and it, like, every little decision you make is just so important, and it's just so weird to think about. But we were talking about how it falls into multiverse theory. Which is
so there's important decisions, and then there's, like, just the nonchalant decisions, like, oh, I ate this instead of this today. But then
you think that's nonchalant.
Yeah, you would think it's nonchalant. Well, yeah, those are the ones that you don't really think about as much. Like, well, I am conscious of it because I mean, you do want to, whatever you're putting into your body, you want to
but still, if you eat the same things even every day, like, even if you're healthy, you're like, I eat this every day, you're not thinking about it. Yeah. But, like, I can almost think of any scenario where that would, like, bring something random to happen, so right? Weird. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe, like, you eat something with onions for breakfast.
Right.
Instead. Like, I never eat anything with onions for breakfast. I'm going to eat something savory and have a bunch of onions. Then, I don't know, you're on the fucking bus or the train or something, you burp. The person next to you is allergic to onions. They go to anaphylactic shock. Oh my God. The whole bus crashes.
I'm thinking of this.
And nobody really knows why he went to anaphylactic shock because nobody's gonna like be like, oh, did you eat onions? Crazy. People are just like freaking out. So you might not even know why he went into anaphylactic shock. He's just airborne allergic to onions, and you burp.
Shit.
Or you burp next to somebody who loves onions. What'd you eat for breakfast? Oh my God, I had an omelet with onions. You like omelets? I like omelets. Oh my God, let's be friends. I don't know. Any weird little thing.
Well, I would say one of the weirder ones is meeting people.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like,
meeting people
the coincidences of how you met them and, like, why and, like, when. Like, all of it's so specific. Bitch. Like our friendship, like what we were just saying.
Also, Can I tell you the way I ended up going to the college I go to is fucking insane.
Okay.
So, basically, it's like spring. I find out I didn't get into dental hygiene school. I'm like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, SUNY Broome. And I was like, okay, like, this sucks. What do I do now? I was like, what do I do now? And then at that time it's spring, so all the high schoolers that worked at my job were like committing to colleges. And I remember one of the ones I was like kind of close with comes in. She's like, I committed today. And I was like, oh, where'd you commit to? She's like, Ithaca College. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And then I go back home. I'm talking to my mom. My mom's like, well, why don't you just like go to a university? Like, just try it out. And I was like, all right, like, what the fuck? And so I text my friend. And I was like, hey, when's there, like, the first college I could think of was Ithaca, just because that's the last one I heard about. I'm not from New York. I don't know the colleges around here. I know colleges in Michigan like the back of my hand. Right. So I was like, I don't fucking know. So I text her and I just was like, hey, when's the deadline for applying? She's like, I think it's like May 21st. It had like just become May. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I have a month to figure this the fuck out. I email like some people, I get a letter of rec, like whatever. Get in. Wasn't really expecting to get in. Also, didn't really know much about the fucking college. I just applied. Yeah. I went on the website. I was like, oh, I like the color blue. Like, it looks like a good vibe.
I like the color blue.
I also was like, they have like a health program. What is she? So, I was like, yeah, it's fine. And I look and I apply, I get in, and I freaked out. I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do I get in? Get in, go there for a year, go there for this last like first semester, and then the friend, and we're both there together, me and the girl who got in, so we're like friends. This last like fall semester, she transfers. Oh, she's miserable. She was like, I can't go back after
to Ithaca.
Yeah, she was like, I can't go back. She was like, I don't really want to be here. I like kind of want to be around my family. Like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Does she live around here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now she goes to Lemoyne. I'm still at Ithaca. I'm like, the way that she is the whole reason I got here, and like so yeah, she left. She transfers out. She's only been there for like, we both were there for the whole first year, and then she was there for like the first semester of the second year, and then was like, I'm gone. And it like kind of hit me randomly at one point that I was like, I literally was here for her. Not because I was like, oh, my friend's going, I want to go, but we weren't even that close. Like, we were work friends very much. We got close after I was there, but we weren't even that close. It was just like kind of happenstance that she told me about Ithaca. Also, I'm sorry, upstate New York sucks. It's beautiful because of like the hills and stuff, but like just there's not shit around. Yeah. And it's so funny because I picked Ithaca without really knowing anything, and I started talking to people. Yeah, I applied to Ithaca, like got in. We were like, oh, it's so granola, like such a hippie town. And I was like, oh, like that's like right up my fucking alley. And I was telling my mom about it. She's like, yeah, no, you're gonna love it. It's like made for you. It's like perfect for you. I was like, how did I end up at this fucking college? I know. I get there, everything's like perfect. My advisor is like, oh, she's like, I'm so happy you didn't get a dental hygiene. She's like, do you know where the fuck you are? And I was like, no. And she's like, it's just so crazy that the whole reason, like, the whole thing that led me there, it's almost like this friend was literally, like, chosen to carry me where I was supposed to be and then go on her own path. Yeah. Because, like, she's so much happier now.
That's crazy.
And it's so crazy how that happens. And I'm like, I literally was, like, so in such a bucket position because this is, like, the third year I had applied for the dental hygiene thing. And I just was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life now. Yeah. I was like, I literally don't fucking know. Yeah. And my mom's like, just go to college. And I was like, okay. I was like, fine. And I went, and now I'm like going to school for chiropractic. Yeah. Or about to. Yeah. Whatever. But I'm like, that is fucking crazy. That is just one of those things where it's like, had she committed to a different college or even like not worked there ever, because that too, she was like relatively new at the job at the time. Like, she hadn't worked there for years. Like,
that's so
had I not talked to her, had we not even been close enough for her to even tell me that she committed to Ithaca, like, where would I be?
Literally.
Also, when I took a bus to Philly, we stopped in Binghamton, and I heard a lot of people shit talk Binghamton, but I didn't even see this area. Like, I was at the bus stop there, and shit was busted. Yeah. I was like, it is.
That's the first time you've been there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Ugly as
it's
fuck
so
here.
Ugly. It is.
I was like, it is ugly as shit here. What? I was like,
so
yeah,
bad.
No wonder I didn't fucking get it. I was not meant to go here.
The universe was like,
bitch, that's not for you.
Yeah.
I end up in the hippiest fucking town with a huge lake. My view out my dorm window is like the lake.
Really?
I go to the commons, there's crystals, there's fucking hippie bitches everywhere. My advisor says shit to me all the time. She has a fucking singing bowl in her office.
That's so cool.
She's all into like holistic medicine and shit. I'm like, this is on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other way to explain it than this is on purpose.
Yeah.
Like,
the only thing cool about Binghamton was the SUNY broom. Yeah. Like a witchy, like, broom.
Yeah.
But, like, that was the only cool thing.
That's literally it. And
other than that, it's literally the most dull-looking, discolored
ever.
town. Like,
it's so ugly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wasn't meant to go there, obviously.
So it's like the butterfly effect and the universe, like, all in one.
Which is why it's like you think about getting into multiverse theory, which I'll read that. It says basically, multiverse theory proposes that there could be similar universes far beyond ours, that there could be higher dimensions that contain endless iterations of our type of universe, and others that consist of more than 3 dimensions.
Mind blowing.
Have you ever heard that dimension theory? Where like people are like, okay, so they draw like something 2-dimensional on a piece of paper, like a person in a box, right? And they're like, to this 2-dimensional character, they are like in this. Oh my god, guys, look this up. If you're listening, please look this up. Because it's a video, so I can't show it. But like, I don't think she just draws it. Basically, it's like these stick-on characters,
right? And
she puts them in a box. She sticks them on in the box, and she's like, okay, so they're there. That's inside of this box is all that exists to them. I'm gonna grab this one and take it out of the box. I'm 3-dimensional, so I can do that. This thing can't because it's 2-dimensional. It's also inanimate, but that's beside the point. Right. So perspective-wise, it doesn't know how it got outside the box because it only exists in 2 dimensions. We exist in 3, so we can see how it got. We did that. Yeah. So if there was a 4th dimension, which there is, inevitably. So 4th dimension, we wouldn't be able to see it or understand it. It's just there and it can see us.
Is that essentially God? Like, is that what people would consider? That's probably what people
consider God to be. But that's, if there was a 4th dimension, it could, like, just do shit like that. And we wouldn't see it. We would just be like, what? Like, that's essentially what, like, the 2 dimension is. That's so weird. So it's so strange to think about. Really, I'll show you the video after the pod because it's so crazy to think about. But dimensions, that basically, with multiverse theory, the idea is that, like, there is a dimension where I never met you. There's a dimension where we ended up never going to, like, for every decision, there's a split dimension that has all of those, like,
but things. Is it existing at the same time as ours right now?
Yes.
But, like, where?
So, why? It's just in, so there's, like, so the minute, like, I don't know what it was that, like, made us start talking about Halloween, right? Yeah. But, like, if that never got brought up, and maybe something happened and you quit early, like, you worked, maybe even we worked at the same place, but you quit early and we never really interacted, we'd never know each other. And that has its own dimension. But there's also a dimension where we did
be existing where we would just not know each other.
And that's a whole thing. And you would have a completely different life and I would have a completely different life. There's also a dimension where we maybe still do know each other, but then, like, I don't know, like, don't hang out as much for whatever reason, or hang out all the time. Yeah. There's, like, a dimension where, like, probably almost anything,
can exist.
Yeah, there's probably a dimension where we're living together. There's probably a dimension where I'm still living in Michigan. There's probably some kind of dimension where I'm living in Texas. Weird. Like, so strange. And then that also comes to the conversation about time and, like, how it exists. And I am a firm believer that, like, time exists, like, all at once, weirdly. Right. Like, the past, I feel like I get this from manifestation and shit, which is weird. I don't really know how to fully explain it, and I don't claim to know how to fully explain it either. It just exists in my head. But basically, like, if, like, the past, it's weird with the thing with time, because it's like everything exists all at once. if you think about dimensions, because there's also dimension right now, like where it's like 1400. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like I even think about like if reincarnation is real, like I don't think I would come back in like 2090 or 2090 or like the year 3000. I could, but I also could come back in like the 1400s, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So in that, so
okay.
like, so it's like it's not like time is strictly linear. Well, it might be like linear, but it's not like going forward all the time.
Right.
So like, if I did believe that I like died and would come back, there's a possibility I could come back in the future. There's a possibility I could come back right now. Like, I even think like where people like die and then somebody's born right away, and it's like, oh, is that them? Like, I could come back now, or I could literally come back in the past, which is so annoying.
That's that sounds terrible and weird to think about.
Fucking awful. Like, imagine getting born as like one of the kids in like Vietnam during the war. Like, I would kill myself. Like, how did I get this life?
I was wondering if you think like as soon as you die, do you think, because energy has to flow, right? Like, I was wondering, like, do you think reincarnation happens like right away? Like, as soon as your energy
we wouldn't know, because I feel like time doesn't exist, but it does. It's so weird. So I feel like a million years could go. Like, I still don't understand time-space. Like, the space-time continuum. Like, why is, like, a year on Earth like 12 years in Jupiter? I don't get that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get that.
I don't know.
I'm not an
Because when I
astronomy
was... This is weird, but when I was watching the, like, new Buzz Lightyear movie that came out a couple years ago, or, like, last year or something, he, like, would leave, like, Earth or whatever and like go in space and come back, and it would only be like, it would be like X amount of years for us, but he would be like significant, or he wouldn't be aging, but everyone else here was aging, so like he would come back and like his kid would be full grown, like a doll or something, and like his mom would be dying. Like, it would be so weird. I was like lots of time has passed, but like you are still the same, which is like, and he doesn't realize all the time is weird as fuck for that. But like also it's weird because when it comes to like manifestation and even just anything in general, I'm like, really all that exists is the current moment. Like, the past like happened, and I'm not saying it didn't happen and you can't like have memories, but like it's not existing, right? Like, in the future does not exist, which is why like living in the present just makes so much more sense, because it's like, if you, and then that's all we have, for sure, I guess. I'm branching off just a little bit, but like when we were talking about manifestation, like living in the present and stuff, like I was talking about like naming thoughts in your brain. So when you are thinking about the future, overthinking about the future, that's anxiety. Because it hasn't happened yet. So you're just like, what if? That's anxiety. Right. When you're obsessing about the past, I forget what that one is. But that's like just depression or sadness. It's like, I think it's just sadness or depression. But like, the future is anxiety. The past is like depression and like just dwelling. Yeah. Probably. And it's just so interesting to think about that, because it's like, that hasn't happened yet. This already happened. It's not happening anymore. What's happening right now? You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird to think about. So in that sense, I'm like, yeah, all that exists is right now. But realistically, I feel like everything is existing all at once. Like, coexist, just like everything's existing all at once in different dimensions. That's so weird. Is that like why also with manifestation though, I don't know if this is even intertwining, but like when you say, you want to say like, I have a lot of money, why, like, instead of being like, I will that is have why, a lot of money,
the future hasn't happened yet. So it fucks you up, because it's like a mental game of like, I will have a lot of money. That indicates that you don't have it right now. Which might be true. But you're supposed to this is why convince, and that's why I encourage people to really think about what if you are jumping on a manifestation as a way to get something, it's probably not the right way, because it's not going to come the way you want it to come. Right. That's why I don't really believe in like, I manifested $1 million. You already have a lot of resources to get $1 million, and so I'm sure you did manifest it. It didn't just show up on your doorstep. It's easy for you to manifest it. That's why rich people stay rich, because it's they are already rich. So they're like, I'm rich. I'm rich all the time.
And they only hang out with rich people and surround themselves with rich.
So they continue to be rich. And it's the same with like, and it's so hard, because again, like, it's so weird to, like, say that, because then people are like, oh, well, so you're just saying, like, poor people are choosing to be poor. And it's like, no, but you can, when you understand that mindset, you start to understand why that continues. That, like, scarcity mindset.
It's like a vibration.
It is a vibration.
Low or high.
It's not even, like, low or high necessarily, but it's just kind of, like, right, like, if you believe, like, something as small as, like, I don't have time, right? I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time for that. You will literally not have time because there is no time. You've already decided that there is none.
Yeah.
That's why it's like changing your wording of like, I do have time. I have time for that. I'll do it. That's like the parenting yourself shit that I do, where it's like, oh my God, I want to work out, but I don't have time. It's like, bitch, what are you doing right now?
Right.
You're on your phone.
Yeah.
What if you could do like just 10 minutes
like
right now?
a lazy excuse.
Just 10 minutes right now. Not even necessarily always an excuse, because a lot of times people say they don't have time because they really are very busy people.
Right.
I'm a busy person like during the semester and shit, but it's once you'd be surprised at how much more shit you can fit in your day when you start telling yourself you do have time. Right. And it's the same with like other stuff, right? Like if you tell yourself like I'm broke, like I'm not saying as soon as you say I have money, money's gonna come to you.
Right.
But you're gonna open your mind to opportunities for it. I very much don't see manifestation as like, it is magic, but I don't see it as like I see it as like literally like one of the things people described it as is like you find, you know how you talk about something and then you start seeing like the cars. Oh, yeah. Like you see, like I see a yellow car, now I'm seeing the same yellow car like everywhere. Like I see that car everywhere. Those were always around. You're just noticing them more because you actively, and that's how I see manifestation. I don't see it as like, well, if I say I'm gonna get a job will just find me. I see it as like, once you start telling yourself, you open yourself up to that, and then you start to see it and find it places. If you tell yourself, well, I'm never going to get it, you're never going to get it because you're not even looking, because you don't believe you can get it, which is part of the thing of like, you have to believe it. Right. Which is why your manifestations have to be realistic, and that's why you can't go from broke as fuck to $1 million. Right. You definitely could over time, but you can't start being like broke as fuck and being like, I'm a millionaire. Yeah. I wouldn't start that way. Rich people swear you can.
Because that's just from like 0 to 100.
That's where you have to like say, I have a good relationship with money. You have to, it's literally like baby steps. And it's not like just gonna come to you like that.
I had a weird thing at work today, like about the like manifestation yellow car thing. So like I was at work today and like randomly I was just thinking like, oh, like I'm gonna be like 26 soon. I'm like, oh, like health insurance, like I'm gonna get like booted off. And then like I was just like talking with my coworker about it, and he was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, like it sucks because my physical, he's like, I gotta make a physical before I turn 26 in like a month. He's like, I gotta like get in and get that last like physical in. And I was like, damn, yeah, like my physical is gonna be like shortly after my birthday, which sucks. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. And then I swear to God, like, maybe, I don't know if it was like 30 minutes or an hour or however long later, at work, I was just like this guy came up and he was like, oh, can I get extra steak or extra dressing or something? I was like, sure. And he goes, might as well like treat myself. He goes, I had a physical today and I did really good on it or something. He was like, I passed the physical today. And I was like, what? So weird, yeah. I was like, what was making you tell me that? Yeah. Like, and I was just talking about it, and like, I never talk about that, and no one ever talks to me about that. Like, and that happened within a couple hours. Yeah. Like,
little things like that feel like magic to me, and I feel like those can definitely come with like manifestation. But I feel like majority of manifestation is just training your brain to be open to those things. Because we're manifesting all the time. Yeah. It's not something you sit down and, like, just do. You can. Yeah. But it's not something... It's actually... I feel like it's so much easier to happen when you don't, like, sit down and try to make it happen. I feel like it's... I've noticed so much more comes to me when I just am, like... Just try to change my mindset every day, and literally affirmations and, like... Telling myself... And I don't mean, like, sitting down and doing affirmations either. I mean, like, literally just trying to change my brain. It's the same with, like, confidence. like, when we talked about anybody can be hot, it's like believing you can be will make you hot inevitably because it's like, oh, well, what do hot people do? Yeah. I ask myself all the time what the best version of myself is doing or would do. Yeah. And then I do it, and then I'm like, oh, wait, look at me. I'm the best version of myself. Literally, what would she do? And now I'm doing it. That's it's kind of like a trick, but, like, it's so interesting.
I feel like when you notice things like that, so, like, it is being, like, about, like, opening your mind, kind of, like, but I feel like it's also the universe being, like, rewarding to us to being, like, to being, like, you're magic, like, I know that you're a little bitch, so watch this.
Exactly. But I also think that magic,
then watch.
Magic is so natural, right?
It is.
So the fact that we can train our brains to even be open to something and then see it more is magic. But I also believe, like, little coincidences, like, when I don't know if I told you about this, but I remember, like, I was kind of, like, having, like, as you do when you're an adult, I was, like, having, like, a little freak out about grad school, and I just was, like, was it, like, I have to fly there if I get to the school that I want to go to, like, I'm going to have to fly there and shit, and, like, that's going to cost money and whatever, and that came out of nowhere. Like, I've already applied. I still need to, like, give them, like, a little essay or whatever, but I already applied, and I still want to go. Yeah. But I just kind of was, like, anxious about it. I was like, that might not be, like, realistic. They send me mail all the time, so this wasn't weird. I got a mail from them, and I open it up. I always open it because I get so excited. I'm like, ooh. They sent me a mail, and then it literally was like, it said all this shit, and at the very end, in like little thing, it said, ask us about our travel reimbursement program.
That's cool, yeah.
I was like, okay, so they just deaded that anxiety. They just deaded that. That was the universe being like, bitch, if you don't just not, like, continue what the fuck you're doing, like, stop worrying about it. So I just took that as, I was like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm fucking doing. I was like, stop freaking out and just keep doing what you're fucking doing. Little shit like that feels like magic. It's like, how the fuck?
It is.
You know what I mean?
But I feel like if you're not the type of person that's, like, open to magic, I feel like you're not going to see it as much or notice it as much. And it's not going to be as, like, trippy to you when small things happen. You're just going to be like,
the same.
Oh, well, you know, I just see yellow cars
if you already think something's bullshit, you're not going to believe it. And that's kind of what I was telling you about, like, tarot, and how, like, I read for somebody once that they weren't being a dick, but they definitely were like, I don't know about all this. And I read for them, and I was like, do you have, like, this? Because, again, like, I don't claim to know. So I'm like, is this something that, like, resonates? And they're like, And I'm like, okay, so, like, it could be this. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, you already didn't, like, believe that this was going to do anything for you, so of course it's not doing anything for you. Like, whatever. And the two other people I read for right before that were like, oh, yeah, this is really nice. Like, they weren't freaking out, like, oh, my God. Like, it wasn't over the top or anything, but they were like, yeah, this makes sense to me. Like, thank you. And then I get to her, and she's like, I'm like, okay, so you didn't want it to work. So it's not
literally.
So, yeah. It's...
have you ever seen the movie? I didn't see it, but I want to see it. It was in theaters a little while ago. I think it was called, like, Everyone, Everything, All at Once.
A Multiverse movie. Yeah. I know the premise. I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it?
No, I wanted to in theaters.
Need to see it. Yeah, I still need to see it.
But, it looked good.
Yeah, no, it looks so good. But yeah, the multiverse is just so interesting. Like, all the separate little realities that could happen, and all the separate realities that, like, are happening, and the fact that they're happening, like, simultaneously next to us. Yeah. It's just so strange. Oh, like, the have you ever heard about, like, the Hitler theory? Like,
no.
So, like, there's a theory, right? Like, if you could time travel, for example, which is also a part of multiverse theory, is time travel.
Right.
If you could time travel and you went back and you, like, killed Hitler as a baby, right? You are a hero in the eyes of everyone here.
Right.
But in the eyes of everyone there, you're a baby killer. Because nobody there knows that Hitler is gonna be Hitler yet.
Right.
So you're just a weird fucking person who killed a baby. God. Like, there was a Twilight Zone episode about it, actually. And I watched it. Like, I watched it with my mom not too long ago, and it was so interesting because this girl goes back in time, and, like, time travel was, like, normal. So she was like, yeah, my mission is to go back and, like, kill baby Hitler. And so she became, like, his caretaker or whatever, and was trying to kill him. And somebody got, like, onto him. She finally, like, kills him. I think she kills him and herself, like, in the thing. But basically, it's so fucking... This is the thing with, like, this is almost like reminds me of like Final Destination of like everything's going to, if it's supposed to happen, it's gonna find a way to happen. Mm-hmm. So she killed herself and the baby, right?
Yeah.
And the caretaker that was like sus of her like saw it happen and was like, fuck, what do I do? Am I supposed to go back and tell the parents that their baby's dead? So she sees this like poor lady on the street with a kid and was like, how much for the kid? Buys this kid, brings it back. That kid's now gonna be Hitler.
Oh my God.
So it's like,
so it's either way he was about to be raised to be Hitler, or like,
so think about it this way. They kind of even say like you can't change history, right?
Yeah.
So like, oh, you went back and killed baby Hitler. Technically now you're a part of history, right?
Right.
So like, now we just know how Hitler came to be. Hitler was that kid. The actual person who was Hitler died, and then Hitler was really just a kid of some broke lady on the street that got replaced. And now we know how she got there. It's the same as like, I don't know, I've seen other movies like this too, where like they go back and like try to fix something, and now it's like, what?
It's different. That.
There was another.
It changes. Like,
yes. So there was another Twilight Zone episode like this where the guy goes back in time.
I just watched something.
I know he goes back in time on accident. I don't know how he did it. He went into a coma. Oh my God, this was so weird. Okay, so he's in a coma. In the coma, he ends up like in the 50s or some shit like that. 60s, some shit like that. In like some street, this lady comes, finds him, like she's like a single mom with a son. And they're black. It all happens like during Martin Luther King. This guy realizes like where he is in the time, and he's like, this is fucking weird, because he's from a different time, and he's like, no, I'm not from this time, and the lady's like, bitch, you're crazy, like, I found you in the fucking whatever. So he's talking to this kid, like, who's in only whatever, and he's like kind of helping him and just kind of being a mentor to him. He's there for like a couple of days. Then he goes to try to like tell people that Martin Luther King's gonna be assassinated, which is like weird as fuck.
Right.
Like, to you, obviously, you know what's gonna happen, but everybody there is like, who's this fucking crazy person?
Right.
Like, what do you, like, whatever. So they kick him out because they're like, sir, you're causing a ruckus, and also stop saying that this guy's gonna die. Like, so they kick him out. Whatever. The guy comes to out of his coma after all this bullshit and talks to the doctor. Turns out the doctor is the kid that he was like talking to in the 50s. Oh. So like he knew him. So that doctor still has the memory of him there, even though that he's there.
Right. And the doctor's like all tripped up. Like, what?
It's weird. And it's like the same, again, if you've ever seen Final Destination, like that wasn't weird because he doesn't actually go forward in time, but he has a vision. And then he's like, the plane's gonna go down. And everybody's like, but you're crazy. But then they all get off the plane, and the plane actually does go down. Right. And they're like, how the fuck did you know? Yeah. Like, so you planted a bomb. Right. And then it's like, there's no way around it. It's like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
So people like that, like, because I think that does happen.
Yeah.
Do you think those people are time travelers? Like,
oh my God, time travel
freaks me.
Like, because if time travel is real, which I feel like inevitably it has to be eventually.
Yeah.
It is, people are traveling right now.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that old picture, old as fuck picture of a lady with a cell phone in like the 20s or something? It's so weird. There's a picture and this lady is like on the phone. I think there's a video of it too. Like they're just recording something and she's just kind of like on a cell phone. It doesn't make any sense. There's also a picture of like some hipster guy. Like everyone around him is like in like old school like attire, and like he's just like in like 2014 attire.
That's so
like,
weird.
And it's so weird, and people are
bizarre.
Like, is he a time traveler?
Yeah.
And like, if people were time travelers, like, I don't know, it's just weird.
We wouldn't know.
And like, also, like, the access to it is like, you have to think about, like, I don't know. It's just so strange.
Like, how do you do it?
Like.
Right? Like.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so weird.
That's the video that I sent you. I don't know if you watched it.
Oh, yeah, no, I did. That guy...
Whether it's real or not.
It was just weird. No, it was weird whether it's real or not. Some of it was, like, kind of weird to me where I was like, oh, I don't think this is real. Like, I forget. One of the comments said, like... One of the comments actually talked about basically multiverse theory. And it was like, even if this is real... He could be talking about a completely different Earth than the one that we're living on.
That's
like,
true.
He could be from a completely different line of dimension of Earth.
Right.
and like have just somehow ended up on this one.
That's also weird.
That's fucking weird. And then he's just like, yeah, this is gonna happen at Earth. And I was like, bitch, that's not ours. But we don't know that.
But
you know what I mean?
That.
Like, and he doesn't know that because he's just like, well, I live on Earth. And I was like, well, bitch, we do too, but you live on a different Earth than we live on.
That's weird.
Because, like, what's outside of space?
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Like, it's space. Right. I love thinking about that. I love thinking about how space just goes on, and we, like, are in this little box. And I'm just like...
Right now, we're literally in a room that's in a world.
What's outside of
the space.
Also, that weird existential thing where you're like, everything outside of like my line of vision could just be like blank, and I wouldn't know it. Right? So like all of outside could be just like blackness or just white, and I wouldn't know it right now. And then when I go out, it just like paints itself for me.
What the hell?
To like
what is going on? Oh my god.
It's so weird.
And so, okay, I don't know if this is really far-fetched, but with the multiverse, okay, or the different dimensions existing all at the same time. I don't know if I just have this weird thing. What if it's like when your brain is really like hung up and stuck on something that when you had a decision to make and you made a different decision, and like years later you're like, I just feel like I'm still stuck on that thing that I should have chosen. Do you think like your brain?
I feel like I know where you're going with this.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to like figure out how to say it. Like if you're so stuck on something years ago because you had a decision and you made this one that led you here to today, and you're still low-key stuck on what if the other decision, like is that like a different dimension that's existing, and like you're part of that, like part of your brain.
You're in the other
one.
I feel like that happens to a lot of people.
Like,
you know how we were talking about like how people learn lessons? I feel like that's a part of like the lesson that you learn. Yeah. When you like sit here and you're like harping on that. Yeah. And you're like, I never should have did that. Or, like the people that live like solely for other people, so they're just like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. You get to like your old age and you're like, I never did anything for me in my entire life. Yeah. And you're just living in this dimension where you were just everybody else's puppet the whole time.
So weird.
So when you come back, you're like a self-assured, like, I know exactly what the fuck I want type bitch. Like, that's just weird. It's just so strange.
It is
strange. It's so strange.
And the movie, the movie Us does the multiverse. But it does it so in a fact where, like, it shows it so
that one's weird.
Like,
that one's not, like, even the multiverse. It's more just, like, everybody has a clone. Yeah. Everybody is cloned.
It's like...
And...
how we're sitting right now. Yeah. Our clones are opposite. Also sitting on the other side.
Was weird.
But it's like...
But that was, like, a government experiment, too.
That's true. I guess it's not...
But it's very similar to
it's like a different kind of multiverse. Because it was, like... the one stuck on the other side was really poor. Like, that whole... they were all very poor. Yeah. And, like, just stuck. And, like, all the ones up here were free. Yeah. So, like... and I think, like, the storyline of it was, like... because they were twins, they were kids, and they got, like, switched or something. She went into the that, like, fun house. Yeah.
And then, basically, her doppelganger, like, saw her and was like... bitch, this is my ticket out. But and, it's like, just... put her in.
Yeah. And it's weird to think that, like, the one dimension gets stuck in the poor and the one dimension gets stuck in, like, freedom and kind of, like...
so strange.
More well off.
So fucking strange, dude. Like, there's so many, like, possibilities for life and, like, probability and, like, everything of anything happening. Anything could happen at any minute. And it could change literally the course of the entire rest of your life. Oh, that was one of the things. And I don't want to ruin it. But, like, I don't know when you're going to play this game. So you probably won't remember. Okay. But with Life is Strange, basically, and also how you get there is, like, a whole fucking thing. So it's not going to really ruin anything. But basically, at the end, she goes to, like, save her friend from something else. Not the beginning with the gun, but from something else. and ends up waking up in this universe where her friend is... Oh, no. Okay, so this also isn't... Like, you find this out early in the game. But basically, the girl that she saved is, like, an old friend of hers. Her friend's dad died, like, when they were young. Mm-hmm. And it, like, fucked this girl up. She's, like, super emo and, like, hates life and hates the world. And so she finds a way. She finds out she can, like, kind of go back in time. She knows she can go back in time only, like, a couple seconds, a couple minutes.
Right.
She finds out she can go back through time in pictures. So she finds a picture of all three of them the day her dad died. Because her dad died getting hit by a bus. Mm-hmm. Like, he was driving. And a bus hit him or a truck hit him while he was going to pick up his mom. Or her mom. Because she was like, I'm ready to be picked up. Like, I have groceries. Will you pick me up? So that's already a fucked up situation. Because now you feel like you drove him to his death. She goes back in time. She's like, I'm going to hide his keys so he can't leave. Tries to hide his keys. He doesn't leave. Doesn't get hit by the bus. A whole different reality happens.
Because it's probably only a split second of like, oh, I can't find my keys for 1 minute.
Yeah. Well, no, a whole different reality happens. He's still alive. Her friend is paralyzed.
Why?
It's...
Because the consequence has to be paid, or just...
I guess just, again, this is one of those things where it's like, it's the same as like the Hitler thing where like something's going to fuck you up.
Right.
It's not going to be, something had to have happened in some weird way. It's like the same as the Hitler thing where it's like, yes, you killed baby Hitler, but now this kid's going to be baby Hitler.
Right.
Like, Hitler just doesn't cease to exist. Like, this kid's going to be baby Hitler.
It has to happen.
So it's the same of like, her dad was alive the whole time. Or like, he was still alive. And she like knocks on her door to like visit her. Because she doesn't know yet. She's like, I'm in another universe and it's weird. There's like whales washed up on the beach. She's like, it's weird, but like whatever, let me go see my friend. And it's like a jaw-dropping moment in the game because the door opens and it's her dad being like, oh yeah, let me get her for you. And she's like, he's like, your friend's here. And she rolls up with like her neck like in this like wheelchair, and she just rolls up and like she can't move. She's paralyzed. She's like, what the fuck? She asked her what happened. Basically, her dad bought her a car when she was like 16, goes out, she gets hit by like something. Not the same. Again, it's a different time, but like she's fucked up. And it's so weird because then you're hanging out with her and she basically asks you to like end it. She's like, will you just like put some shit in my IV and then call it a day? And you have to make a decision whether or not to do that.
Because you can't go back in time again.
I think she eventually does. Like, she does eventually somehow.
Lose her dad.
Yeah, she had to go back to the reality where she lost her dad, and it's weird. She explained to her friend, she was like, "Bro, I saved your dad, but like then you were fucking paralyzed." Like, it was so fucking awkward. So I'm like, that's one of those like weird things where it's like something's gonna happen either way,
right?
And it's like it just depends. And it depends on, like, the whole... And it may be in a universe where she's not paralyzed and her dad doesn't die, it's her mom. Or maybe all three of them are fine, but, like, some other weird bad thing happens. Or it's like, this is just life, and, like, you're not going to get around every bad thing that happens.
Right.
Like, again, like, I'm not sitting here... I'm the first to say genocide is absolutely awful. And there's nothing good about Hitler existing. But is there anything that society gained from learning about how bad that was? That now we needed that? We needed something so fucking bad to happen for us to realize, like, hey, let's not do that.
Right.
Type shit. So it's like, without Hitler, even if she would have successfully, like, killed him and then they just were like, oh, our baby's dead, like, some other person is going to have a villain origin story of some sort and start some fucked up shit that is awful in society that we need to like learn from.
Right.
It's
something would have happened
either way in some other way at some point in time. So it's like so weird to think about that. But yeah,
like
that's
we
like
have
a perfect
shit
example.
happening. Like we don't have Hitler in our time, but we have shit happening too that's like affecting us or a planet that we might like the fires. Like, we're not supposed to be just chilling outside inhaling all that smoke for that many days, right? Mm-hmm. And just, like, what else? We have, like...
Even COVID. I tell people all the time, I'm like, COVID is so...
That's something we had to live through.
So many people died, and it was just... It's awful, but it was something we needed as a society. It slowed us the fuck down.
Even though it wasn't Hitler.
I try a lot to think about what life would be like if COVID never happened. We'd probably be so, like... I don't know, I think about it because we're still kind of slowed down from COVID. We're still kind of slowed down. We're capitalist society. Like, we move pretty fast. We figured it out pretty fast. Right. But regardless, like, how much faster would shit have happened had we not had that intense global shutdown? Right. Like, what other shit might have happened had that not happened?
I guess either today or yesterday or whatever was recorded the hottest day in July around the entire world, like, at the same time. And, like, that's global warming, right? Like, so...
It's fucking weird, bro. It is fucking strange, the shit that we need to, like, learn. And sometimes I'll even notice something, like when COVID was happening, I'm, like, the witchy part of me was just, like, this is happening. Right. I was like, and it wasn't like right away. It was more of like when I started to see things like drive-in movies come back, when I started to see things like people kind of just being more apprehensive, people spending more time doing things that they used to like doing. Because even like if you think about it, like capitalism, we're working all the time. It's like you're going. You have no excuse. Everybody had an excuse during COVID. I mean, I still worked through COVID. It was shitty as fuck, but it still was like,
It was barely,
like, and also now shits. It's like if you're sick, people take it more seriously than before. Yeah, it was like, oh, you're sick. Like, what do you have? Like, we don't know what that is. Like, stay home. Like, people were just like kind of. I mean, I don't think it's fully in any sense because I saw a lot of people who just didn't give a fuck about anybody during COVID. But like, I feel like it stopped people from just kind of being so crazy careless all the fucking time. Right. And yeah, a lot of people fucking died from it, and I don't think that, like, that's good, but I think a lot of bad shit happens, like, that teaches us good shit about society. Right. Because this isn't the first time we've had a global pandemic.
No, which is the last one was like 100 years ago, right?
Yeah, we had like, and it's the same fucking story. People are wearing masks. People are like whatever.
Like 1920 or 1918.
Yeah, and also just 2020.
Spanish flu or something.
The entire shift of 2020 with George Floyd and everything that happened. Yeah. Oh my God. Like, all of that happening in the same year, a pandemic, like, the entire U.S., like, arguing whether or not Black Lives Matter, like, oh my God.
That was the rioting and stuff.
It felt like we had entered a different dimension.
It did. It really did. It did. It
also,
really
for it to be 2020, like, on the dot.
Yeah.
Right out of 2019. And it was at the beginning, too. It was at the beginning, because I remember our last Tavern Tuesday was, like, in February or something.
Yeah, it was. Or March. It was March for us, or January for when it started in, like, China or whatever.
And so it was
really weird.
It was literally the beginning of the end.
It's really weird.
And I feel like we are still, like, shifted as a culture from that. And had that not happened, I don't know what kind of shit.
And I feel like now shit is just happening. I don't know if it's because we're older and more aware, but, like, everything weird that's just been happening. Like, the fires, and then, like, the train derailment thing, and then, like, just weird little shit that's, like, I don't know. But I guess, like,
that's why am I going outside when it's orange?
Right. Thinking back, I guess, like, 2012, I was terrified of that year. I remember that year. I guess we were just young back then.
In 2012. I remember I was like, ugh.
I remember, I was like,
I didn't know.
Watching the moment on my phone.
When you're young, you're just like, this could happen. Like,
but you're also naive to everything else. So I'm sure there was things going on that I just didn't, like, pay attention to.
Well, also, the whole thing with 2012 was kind of stupid because they were like, oh, 2012 is the end of the world because that's when the Mayan calendar ends. I was like, well, maybe they just got tired. I was like, they were already making the calendar for so fucking long. Like, how long ago were the Mayans exist and they already went all the way up to 2012? Like, I would fucking stop too, bitch. Like, I'm tired.
So, 2012 was that thing where the Mayan calendar was ending.
Yeah, so everybody was like, the world's gonna end because that's when the Mayan calendar ends. I was like, bitch, we haven't even been going off the Mayan calendar, so if we're gonna play
now we're just gonna go off
we're gonna care. So 2012 happened, nothing bad happened. There was a movie. I never saw the movie. There was a movie, 2012.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I saw it.
Basically, in the way that they were talking about it, was like the same as Y2K. Because Y2K was a whole thing too. It's like, I wasn't there for it, but my mom always tells me about it. She's like, yeah, everybody was like, as soon as we hit the year 2000, like, the internet's gonna die and like everything's gonna go black and it's gonna be a big blackout. Like, that's what everybody thought was gonna happen in 2000, just because it was a new millennium, which is like scary. Yeah, that's scary. Like, we're going from 1 to 2. Like, if I was alive then. I mean, I was, but we were the last like 2 months.
I was alive for like 3 years. Or like 2.5. But
and it's just like, I would be scared as fuck too if I was like a full grown, and I would be like, what are we gonna do? But I mean, it happened, everything was fine. 2012 happened, everything was fine. 2020, nobody warned us about. Nobody fucking warned us about. And it just feels like all elongated 2020. I feel like life has just been one big year since then.
Except for, do you know the thing about like The Simpsons, how they predict everything?
Bro! Did you see the thing about the submersible was on there?
Yes.
I was like, somebody said
that episode came out like a while ago.
Oh my god, that was one of the comments on that TikTok that you sent me. I was scrolling through and somebody was like, well, if it's not on The Simpsons, then I don't know. I was like, that's so valid. I was like, if there's nothing about The Simpsons. The Simpsons.
Why am I about to binge The Simpsons?
But also, The Simpsons is crazy because it's been running for so long that, like, when you think about it, they've had to have thought about almost every fucking scenario. It's so weird.
Yeah, but like
it's been frame for frame,
detailed.
Like, I don't. Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, it's so weird because they've covered almost every scenario and weirdly, like, I don't know. Life imitates art.
Like,
I guess.
Why would they like think like a long time ago? Like, okay, for this episode, rich people are gonna go on this submarine and they're gonna go look at the Titanic.
Is that what happened in the episode?
I don't know. It was something. It was a submarine, and they were looking. I'm pretty sure they were looking at Titanic parts.
That's so crazy.
Like, I'm gonna.
Did you see the one clip of like Donald Trump as president? Like, because they predicted that. There was like a whole episode where Donald Trump was president.
What?
And he's like waving, going down the escalator, and people are with signs, and there's like a clip for clip, like exactly what that was. Did you ever see that?
No.
I have to show you.
But like, so who are these directors? Like, who are they?
I know they've had to change over time because Simpsons has been running since before the year.
Are they the government?
Dude, that's crazy.
That would be weird. And it's a way for the government to foreshadow what they know is going to happen.
Well, some people were talking about that. And like they're just comfortable with it. Or whatever, ahead of time. But I'm like, that's a far shot because not everybody watches The Simpsons.
No, I've never even seen, like...
That was the same with, like, the vaccine where people were like, oh, there's a microchip in it. I was like, if they wanted everybody to be microchipped, they would make everybody have to get them. I was like, there's no microchip in it.
Well, they were being a little pushy at first, at certain points, which was weird.
It was just because it was scary, and it was like, whatever. Yeah. But, like, I'm just like, if you think of... I'm like, they're like, they want to track you. I'm like, we have phones in our hands. We're assigned numbers at birth. They're not gonna... They're going to do something that we all do. They're going to put something in the fucking water if they want us all to be affected by it. They're not going to be like, you have a choice to get this vaccine or not. But there's a microchip in it. Like, they're going to, if they wanted to, they're going to find a way. Yeah. It's not going to be a choice.
I still didn't trust it because I don't trust the government. Yeah. But I just didn't want to be that. Yeah. It was a new vaccine. I was just like, no.
That's fair. A lot of people who are, like, pregnant didn't want to get it, and I feel like that's valid. I got it because I just don't care that much. I'm just super skeeved out by the government.
But that Simpsons thing is weird as fuck.
No, it's so fucking strange, dude. I don't know how they...
Like, who are you? Yeah. Like, how? What is going on?
It's so weird. But yeah, that's all I have on the multiverse. I don't know. Yeah. I'm like, I feel like we very much covered, like... Pretty all much. Of it, like, because it does connect to, like, manifestation. It does connect to, like, the butterfly effect and, like, dimensions. Again, I'm going to show you that dimension video. Yeah. So fucking weird. But yeah, when you put shit into perspective, we're just small as fuck. Yeah.
It's weird
and we don't understand anything.
It's weird if this has never crossed somebody's mind. Like, do you know that there's people out there that this has just, like, not crossed their mind? Like, at all ever? Like, what does that even mean?
They don't think... for themselves.
Like, have you ever, like, tried to talk about something like this to someone and they're like, what?
I'm like, you're an NPC.
Really?
You're not real. You're not real.
And I'm like, this has never crossed your mind? Like...
That's the shit I like to talk about. The 3 a.m. conversation type shit is the shit I like to talk about.
At all hours of the day,
Come on.
Like, I've seriously talked to people and they've been like, oh, like I've never even thought about that. And I'm like, what are you thinking about? Ever.
Head empty, no thoughts.
That's weird. And that's your
Yeah.
fake person,
Yeah,
your alien
no.
at that point. So
Yeah.
you're not questioning
Oh my
anything.
God. A weird thing. So me and my friends always talk about like NPCs, which is, do you know what that is?
It's like,
it's called, it stands for non-player character.
yeah, it's
so
like,
have you ever played
someone,
The Sims or even seen
no,
The Sims?
but
So basically, if you think about like a video game, basically any character that's you're not playing is like an NPC, right?
Right.
Or even any character that's not like a main character is an NPC. So like if you're playing some game and you go in a shop and there's a guy at the counter and he's like, "Hi there," like that's an NPC.
right.
He's just there.
He's just
being for the player, which is funny. And me and my friends like talk about NPCs all the time because there's people that come off as like real people, and then there's people that come off as NPCs.
Yes.
Like they're just here to fill the space.
Yes. No, literally.
And it's so funny because me and my friend went to the rec room on campus. We're playing pool. And there's like a group of guys that come in and they start playing pool. Which is weird too. This is one of those things that feels like The Sims, because like you'll go to like the park or something and there'll be nobody there, and then all of a sudden there's all these Sims that come to the park.
Yeah.
There's so many times where we've gone to the rec room and it's completely empty, and then all of a sudden every table has people at it, and we're like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, is this you're just filling the space to make sure I remember that like other people exist, like whatever. So we're there. This group of guys comes and they start like talking, whatever, and we're like hearing their conversation, whatever. Then randomly, this one guy out of the group starts talking like loud, like kind of louder than the rest of them.
Right.
And he's saying shit that doesn't make sense. I forget one of the things that he said, but one of the things that, the other thing that he said was like, Bogart, for just like to give you context, is like one of the dorms on campus, one of the dorm buildings on campus. And like we're at a whole other table and we can hear them, but like just murmur.
Right.
But he kind of like gets loud and is like, "Should we go to Bogart after this?" And then his friend goes, "Why would we do that?"
Like.
I forget the other fucking thing he said, but he said something else that was weird as fuck, and his friends were just kind of like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I was like, he's giving NPC,
Yeah.
and even his friends are like, "Bro, what?"
Who are you?
So I was like, "Why would you say, should we go to Bogart after this?" You don't. Their response to it was kind of giving me the vibe of like he didn't live in Bogart, he didn't know anybody that lived in Bogart. Like their response was literally like, "Why would we do that? Like we don't know anybody there."
Yeah.
So it was just so weird because he just kind of got loud and just kind of was like, what? What would a human say?
Yeah, no.
Should we go to Bogart after?
That's freaking me out. No, me and my coworkers say that at work all the time because okay, I don't know if it was this busy for you back then, but all of a sudden like we're at work and like we'll look up and there's like a long line, right? Like almost to them. So and then we'll like look away again and then there's like so many more people. And then we see like everyone walking in from the parking lot at the same time.
It's like,
and then there will be like a period of time when no one comes in, and then again, multiple people from the parking lot, and it's like not adding up right. Like, how are you all just showing up here at the same time?
So
tell me you've ever met anyone else. Like,
it feels like
it's just like,
okay, where did all of you come from? Like this was chill,
and I blinked for 2 seconds.
Oh my God. It's also
one
of those like weird things. Like this is kind of off, but like when I get $100 bill at work, that is the day I get all the $100 bills I'm gonna get for the week. Okay. I mean, like when somebody comes in and pays with 100.
Oh yes.
It happens regularly, but it doesn't happen enough. It happens rarely enough. Like I would even say maybe once a week.
Yeah.
To where the day it happens, like I'm like, oh, somebody's paying with 100, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I haven't had anybody pay with 100. And you can say, okay, maybe it's Fridays, it's paydays. Yeah. It's not always Fridays.
Yeah.
So that was like maybe, and then later in that day, I'll be like, somebody paid with 100. And I only notice it because I only have so much fucking money in my drawer.
Right.
So when somebody pays with 100, I have to take half the money out. And then somebody else pays with 100, I have to take more money out. And then the third person of the day tries to pay in cash. First of all, people don't really pay in cash anymore.
No, yeah.
So like people do like throughout the day, at least a couple times a day, I'll get somebody paying in cash. So that's not like crazy out of bounds. But the fact that I already rarely get cash, rarely get hundreds, and then the day I get 100, is also the day somebody else brings me $100. And then the third person is like, I have this $100 bill. And I always notice it because I get fucking frustrated. Because I'll be like, I don't have money to give you. Like, do you have anything else? Because 2 other people came in here with $100 bills. I get so mad because I'm like, where are they all coming from?
It's so weird.
Like, where are they all coming from? And it pisses me off because I'm like, no, again, people rarely pay with cash. And so I'm like, oh, so you all want to pay in cash today and you all want to pay $100 bills,
right?
And I don't have fucking money in my drawer because you all want to pay with $100 bills,
and that's all you have.
I can't give you cash. Like I can't give you cash. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah,
it's
like
the day
$20
comes in, they all do. I'm like, where'd you all get these hundreds from? You in the hundreds club? You all go to the club, get a $100 bill, and then you come to Copper Top and pay with it? Stop giving me a $100 bill for your $12 meal.
Right.
I'm over it.
Right. No,
like,
that's so weird.
That's robbery.
That's so weird.
That's robbery. I don't care what anyone says. But yeah, that shit's so strange. Like, NPCs, or even people that you see, like, a lot. Like, I mean...
Yeah.
This,
like,
I was going to say, I don't know if this happens a lot to you.
Oh,
it happens to me on campus because I already go to a small school.
Right.
So I'll see, like, one person a lot, and they're always doing, like, the same thing.
Yeah.
When I see them, and I'm like, you were placed here.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
You are not a person. You were placed here.
Years ago when I was dating my ex, like, I was, like, this was, like, 18 to 21. I would see this guy. Like, I noticed this one guy, and he would, like, you know, and you're, like, looking at a crowd, and then there's one person.
Yeah.
And they're just, like, sticking out of the crowd, and you're just, like, noticing them. I literally would see this person, and I swear to God, he would wear this hat. Like, what's the hat of, like a...
Like a fedora?
Yeah, like, is that, like, a French hat or something? Like a fedora.
Oh, a beret?
Maybe. One of those.
Something like that.
Anyways, a weird hat that normal people, like, you don't really wear it. So I saw him, like, one time, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I would, like, see him at the mall. And, like, he would just look weird, sketchy, like, every time. Then I would just keep seeing him, and I'm like, dude, and he's wearing the hat every time. Like, he looks almost in the same outfit with the hat every time.
Bitch, I have one. And
I'm like, what does this mean?
This man came out of fucking nowhere. We've lived on the street for how long, right? People are allowed to move in new, right? My mom, like, pointed out this man who's always, like, riding his bike. And she's like, I only ever see him. Like, he's always coming around that corner when I'm leaving the house. Like, I never see him otherwise. Which, like, kind of makes sense because it's like, girl, you're not looking out the window otherwise.
Right.
But, like, at the same time, it's like, how do every time we leave the house, somehow we're catching the moment he comes around the corner.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen, like, I can picture this man coming around the corner on his bike, his little red bike, and he's wearing, like, the same outfit every time. And my mom's like, that guy just creeps me out. Like, there's something weird about him. And I was like, Mom, leave him alone. Let him ride this fucking bike. I remember one time I was walking, and I just smiled at him. He was like, hello. And I was like, where did he come from, though?
Yeah.
Because he just started riding his bike around there, like, randomly. And,
like, you don't know where he lives.
I don't know where he lives.
Yeah.
He just, like, only time
he just pops
and
up.
I never just see him, like, anywhere else on the street, like, riding his bike. He's always coming around that corner.
He's just on a loop.
Like, it's video game shit.
Like, what?
Like, you are an NPC. Like, shit just happens.
That's all he's doing is on a loop.
He's
like,
always just coming around that specific corner. Like, we've been on walks with Potter. I never see him on, like, the other street or even, like, where he's going. Because, like, he comes around the corner and he keeps going down. But we've never ran into him, like, when he's already down there. Or, like, if we're down there. We only run into him when we're coming out and he's coming in. What? Like...
He's like, I'm on the same route. You're ruining it.
I've never seen him otherwise.
There was this weird thing. Okay, so when I, like, bartended that, like, mansion party, like, a couple weeks ago, there was a bunch of just, like, rich older men there, part of, like, a yacht club, golf club, whatever, yada, yada. This one guy there, you know, he was, like, I was, like, serving them. He was getting really hammered, and he was, like, being funny, and he was, like, you know, always watching me, like, keeping his eye on me, like, he was, like, you know, whatever. And then I was, like, okay, like, I'll never see you again, like, bye, like, I've never seen you before, I'll never see you again, like, you know what I mean, like, it was nice to meet you. And that was on a Saturday. I went to fucking work on Monday, and I look up in line, and he's in my line. Monday.
So, and it's like I've never seen you there before.
2 days. No, never seen him there before. I mean, unless I was never paying attention.
Right, because I guess you wouldn't notice him, but, like...
No, but, like, something... Yeah, but something in me might have been like, where do I recognize you from?
Right.
Like, but, like, really, like, the first day back to work, like, 2 days after, I was like, I'll never see you again.
Yeah.
Like,
so weird.
What? And then we were just
so
like,
weird.
I was like, are you stalking me? I literally said that. Because I was like, how is this happening?
Would you know? And that's where, like, that kind of bleeds into, like, you know how that girl's talking about, like, season 3 version of me? Yeah. This is what I was meaning to, like, tell you about, like, when I was like, oh, me and my friends always do that. We do it kind of as a joke, but it also is kind of a good way to manifest, and we've kind of used it like that before, where we'll be, like, for example, you know how, like, somebody, maybe even, like, when you were in, like, high school or something, somebody, like, random that you didn't think was going to be super important ends up, like, kind of...
Yeah.
So... We'll do this thing. My friend will be like, she's also a film major, so I think like this, and we both love movies. So I think this is part of the reason why we do this. But we'll be like, oh, like we love that kid. Like he's gonna be main cast next season.
Yeah.
Like so, there was this kid that was in her movie that was we played like boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever the fuck in the movie. She finds out he's gonna be in the same like building as us next year. She was like, oh my god, he's going to be main cast. I was like, bitch, main cast. So and there's so many people that were main cast that are now, like, background characters or, like, extras in the movie. So weird. And we, like, just refer to them as such. We're, like, we just move along, like, oh, yeah, main cast for sure.
Because, like, that was their time, and now it's not, and now it's his time.
And, like,
different
seasons in the main character thing, like, we all see ourselves as main characters, so shit's, like, always happening to us. She'll be like, oh, you wouldn't believe who I ran into. I'm like, what? Fuck, what happened? And like it's fully a season thing. Like if I'm going based off of like my first year in college was season 1, season 2 was hot and sexy, and everything because that guy was fucking, and also just like my braids, like whatever, it was fun, it was just good. And like season 3 I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm like there's so much that happens, and I like look back, I don't know, something about being like on campus and like school year, like you end the year and you're like, I feel like this shit just started. You think about all the shit that happened, like, you're so busy, time goes so fast, and then you're like, wow. Yeah. You're like, how did I end up here? You're like, this is crazy. Like, me, I can literally vividly, I don't know if this is just because I'm somebody with a good memory or because of, like, I don't, just time going fast. I vividly remember meeting my friends with benefits. And then to the point where I was at his graduation, I would have never... Like, if future me was like, oh, yeah, you're gonna, like, be fucking this guy, and then you're gonna go to his graduation and write him a poem and, like, all this other shit. Bitch. Like, I literally remember the day we met and, like, shook hands. Like...
It's crazy.
So crazy. And something in me, too, was like, oh, he's main cast. Like, he felt like he was placed there. Because it was so interesting. I could feel it. Like, he was like, oh, like, what, it was all happenstance too, very butterfly effect, because, like, we were in training for IT, and, we'd already been in training for a couple days, and then this guy comes out of nowhere during one of the training days, so I was like, who the fuck's that? And he came late, and we're sitting in this boring-ass meeting about just, like, tech. It was so boring, for, like, 2 hours. Also, it was summer still, but I was cold as fuck, because they had the AC blasting, and I was in a fucking miniskirt, and I just was like, oh my god, I'm dying. And finally it ends. We're all like falling asleep. It ends. And I just was like feeling talkative and vibrant. Mm-hmm. So like we leave. And I wasn't necessarily just talking to him. But like I just kind of just was like talking to whoever was there. And he was there. We turned around the corner. And I was like, oh my god. I was fighting for my life trying to stay awake in there. And he was like, yeah, me too. Like I was trying all these different positions trying to stay awake or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And then there was a moment where like I felt him like see me. You know what I mean? Not just like talk to me, but like see me and be like, oh. And I was like, okay.
The connection point.
Like, it wasn't even like, I wasn't like immediately like, I'm gonna fuck you. Because I was like, I need to test this out. But I just kind of was like, it was just like, okay, well, he's definitely like, because then he was like, wait, what's your name? And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I was like, oh, like, what sector are you in? Because training was mixed. I'm in creative technology. And then there was like a bunch of different ones, right? So I was like, oh, which one are you in? He was like, oh, I'm in CTS, creative technology. And I was like, oh, we're in the same one. I was like, let me get you on the group chat. And then we get in the group chat. And next thing you know, we're smoking together. Next thing you know, we're fucking. Next thing you know, I'm at his graduation. What?
Yep. That's crazy.
And now, I haven't talked to him in, like, forever. Like, straight up, like,
now you're in your new season.
New season, bitch.
I feel like I started...
And it makes it easier to look at life, too. Yeah. You're like, well, that was last season.
Yeah, that was so last
I
season.
can't just keep taking you into my new seasons. Like,
the audience does it.
Yeah, the audience is sick of you were just a one season. And it's like, I even think about it, like, when I watch shows and I'll miss a character, like, I want them to leave, but I'm like, well, no, season 2.
Yeah.
Well, I know this other character's coming in season whatever the fuck, so I'm like, that is so crazy to think about. And then also just even thinking about, like, happenstances of, like, running into people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the movie, have you ever seen the movie When Harry Met Sally?
No.
Oh my god,
wait.
it's so iconic. It's so iconic. So it's Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. I don't know if you know who those people are.
If I see them, I definitely
basically, I think it's, like, from the 80s, like, early 80s or something. Basically, this girl is, like, leaving college. They graduated. Mm-hmm. She's about to move to the city. Her friend's boyfriend is also going to the city, so she asked her if she could, like, give him a ride.
Yeah.
And so they're, like, making out, and she's like, okay, like, you're getting in the car, like, let's go. And he's just cynical and annoying, and she's just so, like, preppy and, like, put together.
Yeah.
And they go to dinner at this place, and, like, she is like, oh, like, just so particular, and he's like, you're just, like, a stick in the mud, and, like, it's annoying, and, like, she's just, like, over it. And they finally get to New York. They split off. She's like, I'm never going to see this guy again. 2 years later, or like 3, whatever, however many years later, they run into each other at the airport. Like, he pretends not to know her, she pretends not to know him, but then he's like, okay, wait, I know you took me to New York. They start talking, they kind of split off again, and then kind of become friends. Yeah. And then eventually just get married.
That's so
like,
weird.
at the end of the movie. It is so crazy. It makes you think about, like, how you think, like, even, like, I was telling you, it's so weird to, like, think, this is going to be the last time you see somebody, but it's so weird, like, and then throughout the movie, there's all these, like, anecdotes from, like, different couples, like, mm-hmm. they use it as a transition, right, where it's like, oh, we grew up on the same street, we knew, we went to the same school, never met each other, and then one day we met each other in the elevator of, like, this one building, that I was in for this reason, and that he was in for this reason, and now we've been married
so that's
for, like, 20 years. And it's so crazy to think about that.
That's literally, like, Dylan's parents, well, not his real dad, but his mom, who she's married to now. Yeah. Because she was married before, and then got divorced, and now she's married to someone else now, as of a couple years ago. But they both, okay, so this is so weird. They live in Lansing, New York right now, and there's a Lansing, Michigan, or whatever. Yeah. So she grew up there.
That's crazy.
Which is weird how you end up in both Lansings. Like, so she grew up there. I'm trying to think if he grew up there too. I know he grew up in
Dill's from Michigan.
Yeah, but, like, her and the guy both grew up in Michigan. Okay. And then they both, like, they didn't know each other. And they both ended up being, like, they both went to the same college at separate times because he's older. And then they both were in, like, this really small town of Michigan at the same time at one point. And I don't remember the town name, but it was, like, not a big town. And they never ran into each other. And then they met here in Lansing.
That's so fucking weird.
And then met and, like, talked about all that. And they're, like,
when I tell you those, like, anecdotes in the movies, like, that's exactly would be one of them. Yeah. Because there's multiple where it's, like, even... There was even one where it's like they were married, got divorced. Mm-hmm. He married a different bitch. He married a different bitch after that, married a different bitch, and then they got back together eventually, and now they're happy and been together forever. And it's, like, so weird how, like, shit, it's, like, you can meet somebody at, like, a weird time and think, like, even, like, sometimes, you know how I told you, like, sometimes you're just meant to be in each other's lives for a short period of time. Right. But then you could end up coming back. Because, like, that's what, when I told him, like, that thing about, like, well, maybe someday if I'm in New York and we run into each other in a coffee shop and whatever. And I was like, that's crazy, though, because that could definitely happen. And I remember when he was telling me he wanted to stay in touch, he was like, well, I plan on being in the city for the foreseeable future. So if you're ever in the city, like, I will be in the city. And I just was like, okay.
I mean, the chances of you running into each other in the city without talking would be crazy because it's huge.
Crazy because it's
huge. And there's so many coffee shops.
But what?
Like,
but
if the universe.
But, like, I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm just saying it would be so interesting.
Yeah.
To, like, catch up. Also, just with people, like, years later, like, coming back around and being like, hey, like, I've had shit like that happen to me all the time. And that's how I kind of got over being, like, emotional about endings, because I'm like, nothing really ends.
Yeah.
It's just, like...
It's all full circle sometimes. Or, like, people who date in either high school or college, and then they, like, go their separate ways.
And then
for
they
either
end
college
up back together.
Or after college, they go separate ways, and then they end up back together.
For, like, and then forever.
Yeah.
It's like you needed that time apart, though. And I think about that all the time, where it's like, yeah, maybe we met each other and needed each other for that time, and then we needed to separate to learn different... You know, even... Okay, I'm not... Again, this sounds, like, so bad, but, like, I go over shit like this in my mind. I'm not obsessed with this guy. I don't really think about him often. It was just, like, really fun. But I did think about this weird scenario where I was, like... Because I kept being like, oh, yeah, I could never catch feelings for him. I was like, he has growing to do. You know, I told you he was, like, mentally 17. I was like, that's crazy that I say that, because we were really chill, like, otherwise. And I was like, it's crazy that I say that, because imagine, like, I run into him later, and he's just, like, fully, like, actualized and, like, like, because there was a point where he kind of was, like, I don't know, it was weird. He was kind of, like, I want to date you, but also it was, like, I was like, you're graduating, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And I also was like, I don't fucking know you like that. Like, we kept it very, like, surface on purpose. Yeah. So I was like, you don't like me. You just, like, you know what I mean? So I was like, but there could come a time where it's like we end up running into each other, and, like, even, like, if he's with somebody, like, there's so many movies like that where that happens, and they're just like, no, you're it. And I'm just like, that's so crazy. That could happen with anybody. Anybody that I even meet, like, 3 years from now, that could happen, where it's like, we meet each other, it's, like, interesting and weird, we separate, and then we just come back.
It's so weird.
And it's just, like, you needed that time apart in order to even be together and happy later.
Right.
Like, otherwise. Like, oh my God. It's crazy to think about that.
Have you seen the movie 13 Going on 30?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of, like,
it is kind of multiverse, because she goes, like, in the future?
Yeah, like, she's 13 with her best friend, Matt. Then she goes 30, and her best friend don't know each other. She changes the future, too, because I remember, like, she was, like, unhappy. And then she ended up, at the end of the movie, when she actually is 30, she's with him. Yeah. Because she realized, like, I really wanted to be with him or whatever. Yeah. So, like, but, like, I don't think he, like... They're not friends when she's 30, and she, like, makes them friends again.
They're not friends when she's 30, because she's, like, a bitch or something. Yeah. She didn't realize, like, she was, like, a bitch. Yeah. And then she, like, comes back. Oh, my God, I need to watch that movie.
Yeah, that was, like, a movie.
But, oh, my God, yeah. Multiverse is so crazy. I actually, like, thought this was going to be a really good podcast, but I didn't think we'd go as far as we did. Because there's so much to think about, like... When Harry Met Sally is definitely one... I mean, it's not a multiverse, but it's definitely one of those things that makes you just think about life that way. It's very much,
like how...
roads are crossing and...
How coincidental everything could be,
Because I've even heard so many other stories like that, where it's like, people have moved across the country to a different country, come back and just happen to be in the same place at the same time. Yeah. And catch up and, like... Just either, it doesn't even have to be falling in love, but I think falling in love is so specific and weird. Because, I mean, you can always, like, kind of keep friends with somebody, but, like, to separate from somebody you, like, were with and then you break up for years. And then you just, and so for some of the people, it was happening, like, in their 40s, 50s. Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy.
You know what a weird take on that is, though? In a weird sense, it makes it seem like, whoa, like, life could be really small in that sense. It is. Because
we are.
It makes it feel even smaller when you're like, dude, this person moved all the way across here. Yeah. And now we somehow reconnected, but I also haven't met the other 7 billion people in the world. Like, I haven't even met a portion of that.
That's why I believe that energy's real. Because I'm like, how did we do that?
Yeah. Like,
how did that happen?
Like,
even.
And that could also mean that most of the population is the fake, the PC, or whatever you said. Because it's like, how are you moving across country, coming back, we're meeting, but I'm not even meeting,
but it's so crazy because we are so small. Have you ever seen, I remember the first time I felt so small was, like, in kindergarten or something. Because they had somebody come to one of the assemblies, and it was, like, they were showing us, like, the solar system or something. And they were like, okay, you see this beach ball, which is, like, fucking huge as fuck. And they were like, okay, that's the sun. And then this bouncy ball. Or, no, it wasn't even a bouncy ball. It was a marble. Like, this marble is Earth. Yeah. I said, excuse the fuck out of me.
You're like, I'm 5. What is that?
I was like, I'm already tiny as fuck in this big ass world. I'm 5. All of you look like giants to me.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me the sun could literally swallow 9 billion Earths?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Kill me now. I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I was like,
yep, when you think about space, you feel very small.
I forget how many. I'm looking it up. How many Earths can fit in the sun?
Have you seen Horton Hears a Who?
Yeah, that should have fucked you up.
Yeah.
That is another like multiverse.
That movie as a kid, though, you're like, this isn't fucking me up.
You up.
And then you're an adult watching that, and you're like,
and that was fucked up because everybody was like, Horton, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Horton had all of he could have ended their shit.
Yeah.
So fucking fast. Yeah. He could have edited. He's like, there's people on this.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's not.
But that made me.
And they're all, and the guy's the mayor. Like, wait, what? We're just a speck. Like, can you save us? Like, please don't end our shit.
That
shit
is
so
bizarre.
weird. Dude, Dr. Seuss is on some like spooky shit. Hang on. How many?
Person's a person, no matter how small. Yeah, no. He definitely took some heavy drugs.
A person's a person.
And just
1.3 million Earths can fit in the sun.
What the fuck?
Can't
even comprehend
the
that.
sun.
Like, that's crazy. But yeah, now I'm like really thinking about that movie, Horton Hears a Who. Like, the speck could have just, he could have.
Oh, that's assuming that the Earth's spheres are squishy and packed with no gaps.
Still, I mean, squishy or not.
That's fucking crazy.
Not squishy could still fit.
1.3. Who figured that out? Who did that math?
I know.
Some nerd ass at NASA was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure it out. So if the diameter is this,
like, what?
That is so strange. But yeah, oh my god. Like, it's crazy.
It's just blown.
That's the type of shit that I'm like, if I want it bad enough, I could just like, it's going to come back at some point.
Right. Oh,
like,
God, it's so weird.
So strange.
And, that's so weird. You wonder if those people were thinking about those people the whole time, or if they, like, let it go.
I always hear, like, if you're thinking about them, they're probably thinking about you.
Yeah, that's weird.
In, like,
I weirdly feel that.
Not in, like, a literal sense of, like, at the moment, but, like, I sort of see it in a way of, like if it's fresh enough, if whatever you guys did or like whatever is fresh enough in your mind to like for you to be thinking about it, then they're probably thinking about you.
Right.
Now it's different if it's like a billion. I mean, it could still be, but if it's like so many years later and you're just like hung up on it, then that might be different. If you've never let it go, then they might not be thinking about you. You might just be like hung up on them. There's a difference. But
it's weird.
If it's matched, it's one of those things where it's like if it's fresh enough, you just were like no doubt, like he's popped up in my dreams a couple times, and I'm like, I felt weird about it because I was like, oh, like I don't feel like that. I'm like, I don't need him to be popping up in my dreams. It's not like I have control over my dreams. But I was like, then no shot. I'm definitely popping up in his.
Yeah.
No shot.
I mean, I don't know, because there's been things where I feel like you could be with someone and then years pass and then like you're both just thinking about each other and like
that too. I think I do like think one messages. I agree with that. But I'm just saying like in the sense of like people who just like get hung up on shit. Like I guarantee you there's maybe people that think about me that I don't think about anymore.
That's true. That's true. That's a whole nother thing. And it's just because they're like, even one of my old friends like reached out to me and we started talking again, but I can tell she's very much in the same mindset that she was when high school ended. And I was like, okay, it's fine, we can be friends, but she also sucks at texting. And she was like, oh, like I would love to talk to you soon. And I was like, okay, I'm free on Monday. That was a month ago. Does she live here or Michigan? Yeah. She lives in Michigan. So that was a month ago. Yeah. So I mean, it's still hard, but but like it's hard to retry to like. It is. But it's not it was like your old life. But it's also like I told her too, because I have friends from Michigan that I talk to like maybe once a year, and we like pick up like nothing. Yeah, they're like that's nothing. Different. That's one of my friends, and we're on the same level. So with her, it was different because I was like, you're still in like high school mindset, which was weird, but I just was still open to it. And it was like this last straw of like, I'm not even mad about it. Like, it's just like, I don't feel like doing this. Where she was like, oh, like we should talk. And I was like, okay, I'm free on Monday. And she was like,
she was like, yeah. Or she was like, it would be really nice if we could talk. And I was like, yeah, I'm free on Monday. Does that work for you? Monday came. Monday went. That was like a month ago, like a month and a half ago. A week ago, she's like, you're so sweet. How's school been?
Wait, never answered to the I'm free on Monday.
I was like, bitch, you need to figure out your own life. I was like, I'm not dealing with this.
That's just total,
I was like, I'm so done. I'm like,
energy
I'm so tired.
things. Like, it's just not, it's one of those things that's not worth it. I think this is
just
so
a bad
crazy.
texture and just, like, so stuck in middle school. I mean, not middle school, high school. Probably middle school, too.
So, like, I have this crazy weird thing where so when, like, we bought a van and we were just very like, obsessed with it, I was, like, reaching out to Facebook groups or, like, I don't even know. I ended up coming across this girl, and she, I, like, added her on social media, and we just started talking, and she's, like, a Virgo, too. She's, like, around my age, but she lived across the country. Like, she lived in, like, Idaho or something with her boyfriend, and they were doing van life, and I was like, oh, so cool, like, we'll meet up at some point, like, I'm sure. Her name is, like, Mariana. So we just such good energy throughout text, and then, like, one time we were literally like, do you want to FaceTime, like, when you're free? Like, I don't even know this girl, and we were just like, yeah. And so we FaceTime for, like, 2 hours straight, and there was nothing weird the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and I've never met this person. I don't even know this person. And it was
fucking
clicks. And we
I
just, it's
never
like a
worry about, that's why I'm like, I never worry about those people. Because it's like my one friend, like, I haven't, that I was talking about, like, I only talk to, like, once a month. I talked to him, like, for the first time, like, maybe in, like, a year or two. Like 2 months ago or something like that. Not even. Like, it was during while I was here, like, for the summer. So it was, like, a month ago or something. We caught up. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was just easy.
Yeah.
And I was just, like, it was just so chill. And, like, I told him, I was like, I'm never worried if we don't talk for a long time. I was like, if you are busy and I'm busy, I don't want you to ever take it like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you could literally text me randomly as fuck, and we could just, like, pick it up.
It's so weird.
I haven't seen one of my friends from middle school. Haven't seen her since middle school. It's almost been 10 years since we've seen each other. We're still like this.
It's so
like,
weird.
if we don't, like, talk all the time, but, like, every once in a while we talk, and we have a lot to update each other on because we don't talk super often, and we're there, and it's fine.
It's so weird.
It's totally fine. But then there's some people, it's like, I literally live with you, like, my college roommate.
Whispering.
Like, I love her, don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but it's just, like, I don't feel close to you at all.
Yeah.
I don't feel close to you at all. She doesn't, like, open
weird.
up.
It's
My
so
other
weird.
roommate, we're both Scorpios, we're pretty close, like, whatever. And, like, I don't even know if, like, after graduation, we'll probably keep in touch. I don't know if we're going to, like, stay super, super close, but I know that we're going to know each other for the rest of our lives.
Right.
And that's not me, like, hoping that. If we don't, then, like, whatever. If we fall off, then whatever.
Yeah.
But that's me just being, like, we just have, like, a good connection. And I know for a fact that, like, we could not talk for, like, a year. And if she, like, hit me up, I'd be like...
It'd be fine, yeah.
Yeah, we would catch up like nothing.
And that's, like, one of those things where it's, like, people maybe are only supposed to be in your life for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then those people where you can talk a year later and catch up, like, they're probably going to be there forever.
Yes,
like,
exactly. And even if
they're not.
And they're not even, like, there, right? Like, they're not there, but, like...
But they're just...
They're a presence.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It's just, yeah.
Because it's, like, if I have something crazy happening, I'm not going to text my friend Drew, the one that I was talking about, and be like, oh my god, I had something crazy happening.
No.
But... I'm going to update him, like, a year later whenever we talk.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. If there comes a time where, like, I reach out and his numbers change or whatever, I probably be, like, a little sad, but I'm never going to be, like...
You're more than likely gonna, like... Yeah, no. Like, I have, like... friends too where it's like we don't talk all the time, but when we see each other it's like we never stopped, but it's not someone that I'll text with
exactly
every
exactly
update, like, oh, I had such a bad day today.
And I love that. And I love that. That's why I'm like, that's what I was kind of saying about him. I was like, we never texted, so like I don't picture texting you and like keeping in touch.
Yeah.
But like if I ran into him, I know for a fact we would like
sit down and
we'd probably have like a 4-hour conversation.
Yeah.
Like we would probably have like a really long conversation.
Yeah.
Like no matter how long it's been, we'd probably like catch up.
Yeah.
And even if that was like it, we caught up and it was like it was nice catching up with you. And we never see each other again after that. Like I know we would, like, catch up and it would be fine. There's some people that are just so easy to talk to, but you don't keep up with on a daily basis. Yeah. And then, like, whatever. I don't know.
It's just so weird, the dynamic of it all.
So strange.
Like, I just think it's so funny how I could not even know someone who lives across the country when we FaceTime. It's like we never, it's like one of those things. And, like, she'll text me randomly and be like, oh, I miss you so much.
That's why I take weird vibes serious as fuck. Because I'm like, it's supposed to be easy.
Yeah, and she's like,
and when it's not, I'm not forcing it. I'm not forcing it if it's not easy.
It's funny that someone I've never met is telling me they miss me so much, let's FaceTime and catch up soon. And then I have people that are supposedly, like, good friends that I don't see anymore.
Exactly.
Like, what?
It's so strange.
Like, someone who used to be my best friend, I don't even, like, see you anymore. Yeah. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, like, it's strange how, like, life just does its thing. And it's like, that's why I really take it, like, see, I don't
play around.
I don't play around, and I also don't care. I'm very much like, I'm completely content being alone. Yeah. Obviously, we're social creatures. That's not me being like, I don't need anyone. I obviously love being around people, and I love meeting people. But I'm so content being alone that if it feels like work to be your friend, I'm not going to be your friend. Yeah. I don't need to do it. I don't care.
If anything feels very off,
crazy, like just weird, I'm
more effort.
Like I remember I met this one girl randomly. Not randomly. Like, it was like through like Instagram. On campus, we were like, oh, let's meet up at the dining hall and get lunch. I meet her. Oh my god, the entire time she's like hitting her vape. She's like cracked out. Just weird. Like in between sentences, like. Oh. Yeah, like.
And did you
I'm from this one area. Like, there's like a lot of stabbing.
Not get that energy online? Like, you just didn't.
It wasn't even like we were already on campus, so I didn't really overthink it. If it was just like in life, I probably would have talked to her longer. But we're on campus, so you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, we're meeting up at a dining hall. We both go to the school. Like, the vibes were more of just like, it wasn't even like crazy. I think we met over Instagram through a post that was like talking about like things that we liked. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I already know you like these things. And she was cool. She was not like a bad person by any means, but just not the type of person that I was gonna never hit her up after that. Like, she was so cool. She was like, oh, I do nails. I was like, oh, that's cool. But at the same time, she was like kind of cracked out and a little. She's like, yeah, I stayed up so late, like drinking like crazy loud, and I was like, it's Tuesday.
This literally sounds like the same person that I met.
So weird. It was just weird, but it wasn't bad vibes, but it wasn't good. It was just kind of like, we don't belong in the same storyline. If that makes sense, again, with like the movie thing.
I literally had to say that to someone.
We're not in the same storyline, bitch.
I literally had to say that to someone. Like,
you have your own separate movie going on, and I have mine.
She, like, didn't live that close. Like, she lives, like, in, like, Utica or something. And, like, I should probably do soon. And she, like, we, like, talked online and stuff, and then, like, we met up at, like, a public place, and I just was totally thrown off. Vibes were just very off to me, and I was like, oh, this just doesn't, like, feel right. And I'm very picky and choosy about, if you're my friend, you're my friend. Like, you're gonna be my good friend. Yeah. Like, vibes are off, and then, like, she messaged me later and was like, what, like, are you being weird? Like, what was that? Yada, yada. And I was just like, honestly, like, I'm not trying to be, like, but just vibes were very off, and I was just like, I can't, like, I barely have time for all the, like, people I have in my life now. So I was like, I can't add, like,
somebody that doesn't.
That's not, feels like this is not supposed to be.
It baffles me. I had a friend that, like, literally would talk about, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm going home on break and I have to, like, hang out with my friends. And I was like, what? I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they're, like, kind of annoying. They have, like, bad opinions and whatever. And I was like, so they're your friends? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, why don't you just, like, stop being their friend? She's like, I don't really know how to, like, break it off.
You go away to college. You come home barely.
Some people hang on to shit just to hang on to it. I'm like, that's a miserable fucking existence. You will never catch me doing that. Right. You will never catch me
doing that. And what's that benefiting you?
Just to have somebody around.
I guess, but, like,
have somebody to
if you let go of those, some people like shit talking too.
Some people like shit talking, so they surround themselves with people they don't like, just so they can tell other people that they like a little bit more. Yeah. Oh my god, this person's so annoying. Like, I remember she was telling me once about her coworker that's, like, obsessed with her. She's like, my coworker's so annoying. And I was like, girl, like, if you don't just, like, stop answering her texts. She's like, well, it's awkward because we work together. I'm like, it's not that awkward. Like, you work together, you work, like, not even beside each other. They work one-on-one.
Yeah.
So, like, the most interaction that they have is that she is coming on when she's leaving.
Right.
So, like, it's not even, you don't work with her. You just know her from work. And then she was like, well, here's what you're not going to like. Half the time it's me asking her if she wants to go to dinner. I was like, I don't want to hear one more complaint.
I feel like you told me about this because I was like, what? Like, you're just forcing yourself to go spend money on dinner.
It crazy. I mean, it's the dining hall, so it's free or whatever. But, I mean, they're still paying for it, like, whatever. But it's crazy to me that people exist like that. Yeah. I'm just like, I know.
Like,
and it's, again, it's not even, like, a bashing thing. Like, no, you can be cool in your own thing, but it's like, we just shouldn't cross.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even being like, you're not worthy. I mean, some people aren't, but, like, I'm not saying that about every single person. Like, the girl with the nails, like, I'm sure she's, like, awesome in her friend group. And again, we had, like, a lot in common, obviously, because we like the similar things that, like, got us to even talk in the first place. But it was like, that wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, literally.
That's not enough.
That
sometimes
wasn't just not. Like,
I was like, I don't foresee this being, like,
there has to be a
crazy
literal
good friendship, like,
connection.
Yeah, it was just weird, so. Yeah, so that's the multiverse.
Yeah, on that note.
Oh my god, what's this one? Like an hour and a half or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Because it was a lengthy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk about the multiverse forever, honestly, because it just has so many different things. But that's all we will say about it today. Mm-hmm. So,
thanks for listening.
Yeah,
guys.
thanks for tuning in.
If you made it this far,
I know.
If you made it this far, leave a comment of like emoji.
Like a universe emoji maybe or something. I think there's like a star, like put like a starry sky or something.
Put a starry sky emoji in the comments. And if you don't have an iPhone, I don't want to hear it. But thanks for listening so much.
Yeah,
we love talking about the shit. So
yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will catch you on the next podcast.
See ya.
Bye.